One question that I'm sure everybody's dying to know is your background in that kind of environment, the pressure, and I can't even imagine the risks and all of that. What are you doing with that experience, and how are you leveraging that today?
Well, I didn't used to share that story. To me, once I left police work, it was one of those, like, I was so used to being undercover that I was being undercover in my experiences. I didn't think that people would actually want to hear about them. And so one of the things I realized is that the training that I've had can help so many people, and that being able to make quick decisions and to be able to stand in your power and to really show up in a powerful way. And I think so many times, particularly for women, we will try and show up so strong that we forget who we are. And I think that's where my going so deep undercover, that I was starting to forget who I actually was. And so now stepping into the world, I really believe I want women to be fierce. I want to have that strong essence of who we are, but to also be feminine, to know that we're both of it and that we show up in a much different and strong way.
So what do you do?
I'm undercover. I'm not going to tell you. Might have to kill you.
Witnesses. Witness to proof.
Exactly. So I help consult and coach both entrepreneurs and business leaders in corporate and entrepreneurial situations to stand in their power, right? That we forget, there's so many times we give our power away or we stand so firmly in it that we don't know exactly what we're doing. So I help leaders go to that next level of leadership, especially for the times that they're second guessing themselves. I mean, there's so many times where we make a decision, and a powerful decision, but then once we start second guessing ourselves and it erodes our confidence, it affects the bottom line, it affects trust within the communities and the teams, and it allows you to not step forward into the powerful position that you're in to make the difference you are here to make.
So when you first engage with somebody, when you first work with your clients, do you look at them in the sense of wanting to discover what masks they're trying to wear and what's underneath it?
That's a great question, because one of the things is I believe that people have a private life that your family knows about and a public life that we show everyone, but that we all have an undercover life. It's the part that we hope no one sees in us. And so as I'm talking to people, I do discover what that is, that we all have that form of protection. I created an online academy called Clutter to Calm when I first got out of the police force, because I found that when people had cluttered environments, that it affected their family, it affected their work, it affected who they were being. And clutter is a form of protection, just like weight is. So we have all these things that we hide behind that we aren't able to see. So when we discover in what ways we are being undercover in our life, because there's a lot of us at times we feel like we're being a fraud. Like, we just hope someone doesn't figure out that we don't know it all or that we don't know how to figure it out. But the ones that actually ask for support are really the most powerful people, because we don't know it all.
So I can relate to that from an entrepreneurial perspective, but from a corporate perspective, I'm a little bit confused. It would seem like in a corporate environment, you're asked to be something that you're not. You're put against standards with other people, and you're compared to other people, and you have to climb this ladder, and the ladder is predefined, right? So how does your work really fit into a corporate environment?
Is it really predefined? I mean, that's the thing. We're looking at shifting all the parameters of what's going on. I mean, we look at certain corporations and, we think a certain way. Like, a certain company looks a certain way because of their branding and how they're showing, but we have no idea what's happening behind the scenes, right? They could be completely crumbling behind there, or they could be doing way better than what we're actually seeing. So the misperceptions of what's happening out there, it trickles down in the corporations of how people are showing up, right? And so if you first start with yourself, you can't lead other people if you aren't standing in your own power or you're continuing to second guess yourself. So in corporations, they can be the most undercover because they are not having good communication, they're not connecting, and sometimes, when I've worked with leaders in their corporations, they've looked at saying what they want to bring down to their company, and they don't communicate it very well to one person. It's like the game of telephone. By the time it gets around to a couple people, it's something completely different. So you have to be really clear about what is your power and how you're communicating it and how you're creating the culture.
So, this wasn't in here, by the way, but going back to this whole corporate thing, especially working with women in leadership, it would seem like in an environment where traditionally it's been male-driven, that the female, in order for them to rise, they have to put on a mask.
I don't believe that's true.
And then, showing that vulnerability, you're saying that there's true leadership and power behind that.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that when you are actually being vulnerable and people get to know who you are, then they can recognize themselves in you, and they can see that by you showing that you stumbled and followed along the way, that that's somebody they can actually lead. If someone has too many masks and it looks all perfect, it has our spidey senses. Like there's something not right there. They're not showing something. We don't even know why we don't trust them, but we feel it. And so I really believe we need to go back to there is our innate knowing, our wisdom that we have, and we discount it. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of cases that I took of women who had some sort of assault that happened to them, where right before it happened, they had some awareness like something was going to happen, and they second-guessed themselves. They were afraid to either say something or turn down a certain street or go in a way that they just didn't listen to themselves. And it's not to make that person wrong. It's just that's actually making them right, that they knew that there was something not working. And so we need to listen to that, whether we are in our personal life or in corporate, to listen to that inner knowing that we're doing and to have more communication about that. Because when we don't, everybody knows that there's something being hidden there. They just don't say anything.
So with Me Too and everything that's going on, do you, I mean, you've been doing this for a while, do you feel like you're maybe a little bit ahead of your time?
I hope not. I hope not, but possibly. I think with the Me Too in particular, I think it's great for the people who were brave to share their experience. But I believe that that's just the beginning of the conversation, because everyone can have some sort of victim experience, but you choose whether or not you're going to be a victim and how you walk in the world. And if you are trapped in that victim experience without moving through it in however way you need to do that, right, then you're holding yourself back and you are living as a victim. So you want to be able to create systems or communication or ways that allow you to get past that so that you can go beyond and do your greater work in the world. If you're stuck in victimhood, you can't do your greater work.
Right. Well said. Well said. So there's one question you want me to ask you. I don't get it. Why is environment greater than willpower? Explain that.
Right. Well, I believe that environments are everything. What we create in our space allows us to step into the experience we want to have. So many times that we want to move through things with willpower, like we just think we can do it and just push through it. However, it's our environments that we create that allow us to actually excel. One of the questions, or one of the examples I give around this is that everyone says they have health goals, right? That they want to be healthy, I want to have more energy or lose weight or something to have better health. And so I say you bring a 1,000-calorie cupcake into your space and you set it there. How many times do we have to walk past that cupcake during the day that you're either going to feel, starving, there's nothing else to eat, or you're stressed out before you eat that? You're eating it because it's in the environment. It's there. I don't care what kind of willpower that you have. So we want to be intentional with the kind of environments that we're creating that it actually supports us to have the experience that we want to have. Now, that doesn't mean you can't ever eat a cupcake again. I'm just saying don't sleep with the enemy and have it in your home. Make it where you go out and you have an experience with it. But this also applies to every other part of your life too, like your office is an environment. A lot of people say that they want to be prosperous and they want to have great things happen, but their office is the darkest room, the one that they feel the worst. There's a ton of paper and it's sucking energy from them. So everything in your space has an energy and intention that it either is moving you forward in the direction you want to go or it's pulling you down.
So in your work with corporate, are you suggesting that people can use willpower to change their environment?
No, I'm saying that they can't do willpower. Willpower alone will burn you out, that you just keep pushing through and pushing through. You know, one of the things that, you know, Carrie was talking about with harmony is that it's so important to consider all the different avenues, right? If we're just pushing through in one way, we're missing the boat with the harmony and having more flow in what we're doing. We can actually create an environment. This is why, you know, a lot of progressive companies are creating environments where you can think more creatively, you can have rest stations, you can have good food. It's like they're taking the totality of the person and what actually inspires them to be more creative, to have more impact, and to do what they're doing. Environment is important. I mean, it is the most important thing they can look at.
Great. So, famous question. In 3 words, what is your meaning of life?
My meaning of life is seek power always. It's from my company, the SPA in SPA for Spa Life is seek power always. And that gets broken down into seek the systems and structures that actually support you, that allow you to have the life that you want to have, right? Power is that power within you. If you're not grounded and you don't actually source within yourself, you know, you're not going to find it outside of yourself. You have to find it within yourself first. And then always take care of yourself first. You are the asset. If you don't take care of yourself, no one else will.